Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Geeks. My name is Tim.
And I'm Alex, and we are two brothers on a quest to bring you the perfect pairing of whiskey and comics.
Yes,
How you
we
doing?
are.
Fresh haircut, Tim.
That's right. Yeah, I know, right? We start season 2 with a fresh haircut, and then last week we throw back to the Wayback Machine in July. Whoops. But no, I'm doing great, man. It's season 2 is rolling on, and we're already changing things up a bit.
Yeah. Well, why don't you explain to the viewers/listeners? You know what? Before that, what Batman book is behind you? Because I don't recognize that.
Ooh, for those just listening, yes, in my background, I've got the first 2 issues of Batman the Imposter, which is the new Batman book out on DC's Black Label.
Oh.
Yeah, the Black Label. So it's Matt Tomlin, and the artist is Andrea Sorrentino, who some of you might know. He is the artist on Gideon Falls.
Which you are really loving.
Gideon Falls is fantastic. If you haven't read Gideon Falls, read Gideon Falls, folks. But also pick this up. This book is amazing. It's so
Nice.
cool. You are gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go pick that up now.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do an episode specifically on it once the arc is over or something like that. I think we should, because
Cool.
It's like early career Batman, but the art's amazing. Anyway, that's not
Nice.
why we're here.
Sorry.
I appreciate that though. Good eye.
Mm.
So yes, we're going to switch things up a little bit format wise. Not that we don't love talking for an hour and a half, but we thought we'd give you, our listening and viewing audience, a little bit of a break so you don't have to sit down and watch us for 90 minutes talk about whiskey and comics. So we're going to start breaking this up a little bit, and that way we can kind of do a little bit deeper dive on each one. And again, kind of saves you time. So we are going to go 1 week talking about the whiskey and a little bit about the comic, and then the next week talking about the comic and a little bit about the whiskey in the pairing. So this is Whiskey Week, and I'm very excited.
Yes.
Because we're going to, I think, our favorite whiskey locale.
We are hitting up.
It's got,
yeah, I mean, yes, it absolutely is. We are going to Islay.
Oh, Islay.
And not like
smoky
a
Monster Island.
Yeah, and we're not going to like a nice gentle Islay distillery that, has some sweet. No. We are going to the absolute hit you in the face with peat and smoke and some salinity, and we are visiting Ardbeg.
Ardbeg. That's right.
Yes, and I'm pumped.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be a good one. Folks, you may have seen, you did a neck pour session with this bottle, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how this has opened up. Since this is our essentials season, and, Ardbeg, in our opinion, is an essential distillery that you need to hit. But the book that we paired with this, for those watching, you can see it behind me. We are talking Alan Moore's Swamp Thing this week, and we thought, that book is a must read for everybody. It's, in my opinion, one of the best monster stories ever written.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible story, which we're going to get into, obviously, in more detail later on. But when we were talking about what do we pair with Swamp Thing, I mean, obviously it has to go to Islay. We did toss a couple back and forth. Do we do Lefroy? Do we do Ardbeg? And then when we saw Wee Beastie, we kind of thought, well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that kind of hits it. It's a little on the nose, but yeah.
Sometimes you got to be a little on the nose. But I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a while since I've had an Ardbeg.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
don't have, the sample that you have is from me, right? Because you don't have a bottle of this yourself.
Correct.
Right. And I think the last time that we were actually doing our Friday night dram with the Whiskey Dad and the Whiskey Rad.
Yeah.
The Whiskey Rad is a huge Ardbeg fan. So, massive. And I think you let slip that you currently don't have a bottle of Ardbeg in the house.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
I've been going in a big kick of sherry whiskeys and sherry bombs recently.
Ardbeg doesn't do those.
Not really. I mean, there's some sherry casks in this Wee Beastie, so I'm excited.
It's true.
But I've been hitting a lot of like Glenfarclas and Aaron and people you're watching. I've got this Cavalan sherry behind me as well. And I've been doing a lot of those and kind of taking a bit of a peat break because I went pretty hard on peat for a long time. That was kind of all I was drinking.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of branched off a little bit. So yeah, so I'm excited to come back.
Yeah.
To my
Let's come back.
my one
Come
true
back
love
home.
of Islay.
Yeah.
I know. Islay whiskeys
Well,
are
and
so
you know,
good.
when it's the summer and, you know, the early fall and it's been a little bit warmer, you don't necessarily want to get just smashed in the face with peat
Yeah,
and smoke all the time. I do find that I tuck into the peatier drams more throughout the winter.
I agree.
Which
Yeah.
is interesting because if you've heard us talk about Glenfarclas before, we say it's like Christmas cake or Christmas in a glass.
Yeah.
So you would think, oh, well, that goes really nicely with winter and Christmas time and all those warm feelings. Except I tend to drink the peatier stuff when it's colder.
Yeah, me too.
There's just
This
something
is
about
usually,
that. I was just
yeah.
gonna say, there's a feeling of like a campfire and like, you know, a nice wood burning fire in the fireplace at home, and that's what I get reminded of, and I just don't want that in July when it's
Yeah, that's
humid
fair.
outside.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. So let's dive into the wee beastie Ardbeg. So yeah, like we mentioned, Ardbeg, Isle of Islay. It's proximity on Islay. It is like right down the road from Lagavulin, which is right down the road from Lafroig, which is pretty awesome.
Right down the road from
Yeah,
it's only so big.
The only one that's not right down the road is Bunnahabhain because that's way up in
Yeah.
the north end of the island. But yeah, Ardbeg. So we didn't, when my wife and I went to Islay, we actually didn't make it to Ardbeg. We were only there for a day and like went to Lafroig, booked a tour, walked up to Lagavulin, did a tasting, walked back to Islay or to Lafroig, did our tour, did a tasting, and then we're like, shit, let's go back to Lagavulin, grab some distillery exclusives there, and then it was, oh crap, the last ferry's leaving the island.
We're about to stay over outside of a distillery if we don't hustle.
But we ran into people at the Lagavulin tasting room who said that the Ardbeg was their favorite, like their favorite experience, their favorite tasting room. They had the best stuff. Like they just loved Ardbeg. So I am excited to dive in.
Nice. And yeah, for me, the reason I really wanted to get this bottle is it is a 5-year-old whiskey, and it's nice when a distillery is able to put that stamp onto the bottle and actually say, you know what, we're going to stand behind putting an age statement on this young bottle, because for most whiskeys, and especially Scotch whiskeys, you don't get age statements like unless it's a 10-year-old, right? Like that's sort of the entry point for a lot of distilleries, is they'll put the number 10 onto a bottle. If it's younger than that, they're just not doing anything. Yeah. So like for me, there's two ways to look at that. One, they think the product's really good and they're willing to stand behind it, and they're saying this is a 5-year-old whiskey. That's how I feel about Ord Mor.
Right.
It's because if this is so good, we don't mind telling you that it's 5 years, as opposed to Ord Mor non-age statement. The other way to look at it is, and I've heard and read a few places, is they put a 5-year-old age statement on it to almost make an excuse. Like, we know this isn't the 10-year-old. It's not as expensive as the 10-year-old. It's only a 5-year-old. So you get you're getting what you're paying for. So I'm interested to sort of go back to this after having done a little bit more research and a little bit more reading about this, and sort of see what end of the spectrum of that argument I come out on. Generally, I really like it when a distillery, like sort of has the stones to just say exactly what it is, right? Don't hide behind like the NAS and just, we're not going to tell you what it's aged in. We're not going to tell you how long it is, just enjoy it. Here's the price. So I generally like it when they just say, bam, here it is. It's 5 years old. Here are the casks. So
yeah.
What are you getting on the nose here?
I mean, right away, it's your typical Islay nosings. Although it's the one thing I find so interesting about all of the Islay distilleries is how different the peat is. Like, it's all smoky, yes, You can
Right.
kind of, it's, I wouldn't even say nowadays there's so many other people doing peat as well that, back in the day you could pick one up and be like, oh, it's an Islay because it's so heavily peated. But now there's
Right.
the Ben Romick doing peat smoke. There's the Balvenie Week of Peat. There's, Highland Park, who does a lot of peated stuff, a different kind of peat, obviously. But, there's um, Ben Riach, I think, does a peated.
Yep.
Behind me, I think I've got a bottle of Long Row peated. So there's a whole bunch of other people doing peat. But yeah, I do find that each Islay distillery also kind of has a distinctive peat to it. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
find Colila is very clean. Um, Bunnahabhain, when they do their peat, is also very clean. Like the
Yeah.
Teutschenhaga is really, really clean peat. Um, I find Lefroy is super iodine and like dirty.
Yes. Yes.
Lagavulin is like earthy. Like
Yeah.
it's a real earthy peat. This one to me is really salty,
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad
right?
that's what you said. Yeah. It's
It's
hints of it hints of Talisker, like that sort
yes.
of
Oh, that's a good
salinity,
call.
right?
That's a great
It's
call.
it's that sea spray. It's
Yeah.
the, if you've been to the ocean with the waves crashing in and that mist is coming in, you're getting that salt in the air. That's what I get from this. Yes,
Yeah.
there is the smokiness there, but the first thing I get is the salt.
Yeah. It's the maritime, with the smoke in the background. Like it's
Yeah.
peaty, but to me the nose really doesn't come in peat heavy. It's more of a maritimey, briny
Hmm.
background of peat.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've missed you, Ardbeg.
Yeah, I know.
Time to get
So
some in my cabinet again, I think.
yeah. I mean the ten's just such
Ten's
a
classic.
great classic bottle
Yeah.
to have. It's a great, go to. You're feeling like something peaty. It's just nice to be able to have it. This is something it's a little bit different, obviously. It
Mm-hmm.
only spent half the time, so you're going to expect it to have half the influence of the cask. So this
Mm-hmm.
is done in ex bourbon and ex oloroso, but because it only spent 5 years, that's a lot less interaction with the cask. It's going to pull out less of the oak influence, less of the the vanillas, less of the smoothness that you're going to get when things age longer. It's going to be a little bit sharper, and so we can expect, once we get this onto the palate there, like we can expect a bit more heat, some of like the tingling sensation on your tongue, like you get with some younger bourbons where you get used to that. So
I'm getting like so little of the Oloroso influence on this too. And again, I don't know how much time it spent in Oloroso. It's probably not a lot. It's probably
yeah.
just a finish. But
Yeah, I mean, if it's a
when you get an Oloroso whiskey, it's usually dry red fruits and
yeah,
raisins and
yeah,
sultanas and that like sweet, deep, earthy, like, or not earthy, like deep, dark fruits,
yeah, like the
chocolate covered
stew, like
cherries, like
yeah.
that kind of stuff. And I get very, like, none.
Well, and
So
even just looking at the color, right?
it's very
Like, are you
light.
picking up that generally what you get with the Oloroso casks, right? You get a bit more of that deep, darker amber,
Yeah.
um, like, not quite red. Obviously, it's not spending that much time in a sherry cask, but yeah, you do get it a little bit darker. This is like nice and clean. It's still very light colored. It doesn't say no color added, but it is no color added. um
So I just took a taste.
yeah, I'm gonna go in now,
Um,
you go.
as you do that, yeah, it's really approachable. Um, I mean, it again, if you're not used to drinking peated whiskeys, I don't know if this should be your first trip to Isla. Just pick this up. We always kind of say grab the Bowmore number one, uh, Bowmore 10.
Yeah,
I think Bowmore's a really good introduction. Even Talisker, Highland Park kind of get one of those island distilleries that uses a bit of
yeah,
peat to kind of get your way there. But if you're an Isla fan and you haven't tried this, like, I was expecting this to be a lot sharper. Um, I wasn't expecting it to be as much of a punch in the face as Octomore because, like, that's kind of, it's kind of a fair comparison, but it's also not really a fair comparison because Octomore comes in at like 60%, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is 47,
47.
43, 47.
47.3.
Um,
47.4.
ooh, not bad.
And I
Yeah. So I
said
mean,
that in my neck pour too, right? When like
right.
as I was cracking this, and I did next to no research when I was doing the neck pour because I wanted to come in as fresh as possible. And one of the reasons I was excited about this bottle is I was hoping that this was Ardbeg's answer to Brewer Claddoc's Octomore.
Right.
It's not. Like it's just not that at all. This is a much smoother, much more approachable dram than the Octomore is. It's not as complex, and I think that's by design. Normally, when you get things that are this young, the alcohol tends to be a lot higher. I mean, just when you pour like right from the still into the cask, when you're looking at Scottish whiskeys, you're looking at the ABV is going to be in the high 60s, right? And then you can expect to lose, 2% a year due to evaporation and just the interaction with the cask. That's just sort of the average that you're going to lose. If this only spent 5 years in the cask, we're looking at 10%. So if it went in at say 67, 68, we lose 10, we're down at 57. They could have likely bottled this at full cask strength. So they added water to like purposefully to tame this down and make it more approachable, I think, for the average drinker, because I would say most people don't want something that's 57 and is going to smack you in the face and is going to be really, really hard to, I mean, we like that.
I was going to say your average whiskey Scotch drinker isn't a complete and utter psycho like the two of us who are like, what's that? It's 60%. No water, please.
No water.
Just pull this out of the bottle right now. I mean, we just did a club tasting with our private club where we did an all cask strength and we started with a 60%. Because that was the most approachable, easy drinking one was a 60.
We thought, how can we build a tasting to obliterate the palate of all of our members? And I think we succeeded.
I think we succeeded. It was pretty good. This is nice though. I'm that first sip was really liking it. Going back to the nose, I'm able to pull out a little bit more, and it's more sweet. It's almost like a pear or an apple that I'm getting as I go. I was going to say, or almost a citrus.
Yeah, I'm getting, I think, more of the, I mean, whether it's the Oloroso
pineapple
influence,
maybe,
but yeah, it's a little bit sweeter now.
And there's something citrusy, acidic-y, almost a lemon or a pineapple kind of. That's what I'm getting.
Like for me, it's almost like green apple, like a tart green apple.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah, and the saltiness has tamed down as well after getting it, having it on the palate, and then you go back and of course that's you're used to it now a little bit. I'm not getting the black pepper. Like it does say in the description on the Ardbeg site, like cracked black pepper. And I'm not really getting that on, as they say, on the snout.
Yeah. I don't get that on the nose. I'm getting like the black pepper or even a white pepper, like that spiciness. Right as I'm swallowing it, that's when I get like a burst of spice.
Yeah.
But then it fades with the finish, and then that's when for me the peat really kind of comes in, and you're just left with this nice smoky aftertaste that goes a fairly long time.
Yeah.
But also brings in a little bit of sweetness back in. Like, I know they call it Wee Beastie, and I think adding the wee is a very, very good, a good thing to put in there, because if this was just called Ardbeg Beast, I would be very disappointed. Because it's not a beast at all. It's approachable and likable, much like Swamp Thing. He's not just a monster.
He's He's not a monster.
He's not a monster.
No, he's trying to be a really good guy.
He's a good guy.
So misunderstood.
He's made of plants, but he's a good. Yeah. He's just a good dude, man. Yeah. He's a good dude.
Solid hang in the swamp.
I think what? I think he would be a solid hang. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It'd be weird when he just fucking goes into his coma for like ever and is just part of the swamp and his ex-girlfriend's crying for like ever. Like that was weird, but
that was a tough issue.
It's a weird section. But man, I dig it.
So
I'm digging it.
I agree with you with like the white pepper on the palate. I'm also getting some like salted meat.
I can see that.
Almost like
cured ham.
I want to say like salted pork, like Gimli would say.
Of course you do.
Salted pork.
Yeah.
But it's like something like that. But right, and it's like the white pepper and then a bit of that like salty, chewy meat, and then just this nice, long-lasting peat smoke. Finish, which is really, really nice.
Do you remember what you paid for this?
I think I paid
my score.
Yeah, so it was over 100.
Okay.
So
I was really hoping you weren't going to say 2.
No. So I believe right now you can get this for $100 at, I want to say, at some of the shops out in Alberta. I feel like it was right around that, or it might have even been a little bit more, because I picked this up right when it became available, and it was 1 per customer, and so I wanted to make sure to get a bottle. I think it's now available at the LCBO, and I want to say it's like
$78 at the LCBO.
Oh, there you go. So
not available.
Well,
but I mean, it might be. It's not available near me.
Yeah, price it at whatever you want if you don't have any.
Yeah, Alberta. You know what? I'm wondering if your 100 was with like shipping and all that.
I was gonna say,
because Alberta's $78 as well.
Okay, so I would say that's like very reasonable. The 10,
you know what? I might.
The 10's 100.
Yeah.
Right. Like the 10's bang on. Like I think it's like 99. Like it's always right at $99. So for $78, I think this is a very enjoyable Islay whiskey. And for $78, you're not going to feel bad about drinking it. You're not going to feel bad about sharing it. You're not going to feel bad about going back for a second, or God forbid, a third dram when you're just sort of tucking into you really want to find out what it's all about. You need to go back for a few pours.
Yeah. I think for me, I think that price point makes this very, very approachable. I think anything under $100 to me, with how the market is right now, anything, if you can find something that you like under $100, that's good. It's not the most complex whiskey I've ever had, which if it was over $100, I would probably be not as high on it as I am, but for $75, I think that's a nice little Islay addition, and it's a little bit different, right? I mean, if people are having Ardbeg, I think a lot of folks have the 10. There's the Ugadal, there's the Scorch, there's all these other ones that they've got, but I think this is a nice little addition to their lineup. So good job, Ardbeg.
Yeah, I was expecting something more along the lines of the Corey Vrecken, I think, when I first was reading about this, because I mean, it does say like, at just 5 years old, Wee Beastie is a feisty young creature with a formidable taste. Now, that's really good PR, because I read that and was like, oh, I have to have a bottle of this. And, it does have like some claw marks on the bottle, like on the label of the bottle. It's Wee Beasties in red, and then it looks like there's been a claw swipe along the label. So I mean, it's very well marketed. And I think they're obviously leaning into the, like the peat bog, like idea.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not, it certainly doesn't blow me away with this, super strong, smoky, on flavor.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's super approachable, and I quite enjoy it. Like, this is something that I'll be going back to. I will say I think I enjoy it more now because I'm not having the, I don't know, maybe my expectations were a little bit either unrealistic, or I thought it was going to be something it wasn't when I first cracked it and had that first sip. So I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
And
what would you score this? And then we're going to get into something else.
Yes. I mean, I would give this a nice 7.5. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be right around there.
Very approachable. It's, I think, well priced at $78. Yeah. 78 Canadian dollars for anyone who's listening who doesn't know we're in Canada.
Yeah.
And was thinking like
States.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just make cocktails out of it for 50.
Yeah, I think I'd be around the same 7.5 kind of thing. Like I said, it's totally approachable. I think it's great. For those watching on YouTube, you may notice that and been asking, Tim, you have another glass with something behind you. What's in that? We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to find out what's in that glass. Stick around.
What's in the glass?
Okay, so coming back, I asked you if we could have something, because on their website, Ardbeg says, our whiskey creators set out to make the rawest, smokiest Ardbeg ever. Is that have they succeeded in that?
No. And you know why? Because I have the rawest, smokiest Ardbeg ever.
Oh boy, tell the people what you have. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been sitting on this half-ounce sample that you sent me a long time ago, forever. And I'm very happy that we're doing this episode now, so I can finally try this thing that has been a Fraser family legend.
Yes. So
for a few years.
Strongest, smokiest, rawest Ardbeg ever is this bottle that I filled by hand at the Whiskey Exchange many a moon ago over in London in the UK. And this is the Ardbeg Ord Mor. And this was bottled in, let's see here, May 9th, 2011 is when this got poured out of the cask that they had behind the counter. And it comes in at a whopping 62.5 ABV.
Hey, there we go.
Now we're talking full cask strength.
Cask strength Ardbeg.
The reason that this is a integral part of Fraser family lore is this sparked a 30-minute hunt for the fire that must have been burning at our parents' house.
So funny.
So I didn't just pour one of these. I did get a second bottle and gave one to the whiskey dad. And they used to live out in the country. They had this really nice home. It was on 40 acres of land, nothing but pine trees and trails and just no one around them. And our folks were sitting down and they were watching something, and Dad, as he's wont to do, was enjoying a dram of, whatever it is he decided to pull off his shelf that night. And my mom paused whatever it was they were watching, and she said, "Do you smell that?" And he said, "No," because of course he'd been drinking whiskey and couldn't smell anything other than what was in his glass. And she goes, it smells like burning.
Is there an electrical fire going on, maybe?
Yeah. And well, it was also stormy out and there was lightning. So she was concerned that one of the really tall pine trees had got struck by lightning. So they paused the movie and got up and started walking around the outside of the home looking for fire. No, there's no fire. That's good. Come back inside. They go check the electrical box. They go and check the stove. They go down to the furnace and nothing. They can't figure it out. And she's looking, our mom's looking outside again, just to make sure, maybe they didn't see, what it was burning. And our dad walks up beside her and sort of puts his head over her shoulder to look out. And he goes, "Do you see anything?" and she hits him in the shoulder and goes, "It's your scotch." And they had spent a half hour looking for the fire because he was drinking this whiskey.
Which I'm very excited to try now. This is
So
gonna be good.
So you've never tried this. I only drink this on my birthday. So it is getting down to, for those that are watching and can see, this is a 50 CL bottle. So I'm breaking my rule.
I appreciate it.
Because I thought Swamp Thing deserves a real monster.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna give this a whirl. Now the guy at the store when I poured this said, "Have water ready."
Oh, come on, son.
But I know. But we're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that. Me taking off my little whiskey cap. Hey, folks, by the way, the Whiskey Geeks whiskey caps with comic characters underneath. Coming soon. Keep checking our website, whiskeygeeks.com. These are going to be available for sale soon. What? There you go. Oh, and you've got one with Iron Man on yours. Mine has a Punisher skull. We'll post some pictures on Instagram for people listening. All right. Oh. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Right away.
Yeah. Get your nose in there. Now, this one, when you stick your nose right into, it burns the inside of your nostrils.
Absolutely. Wow. It's very, very different from the Wee Beastie on the nose. This is not, I would not say this is clean and salty.
There's no salt on this one.
No.
But
no. What are you getting?
I'm almost getting... So I'm getting like pine, and it's like a burning Christmas tree.
You know what kind of casks?
No.
No idea. Because I think this has some sherry cask in it, because I'm getting not a lot. This is what if this was like a less intense nose, this is what I was hoping an ex-bourbon Oloroso Ardbeg would be smelling like, because it's got some of those.
This does have some sweetness once you get past. Yeah.
Once you get past that burn, let your nose hairs get burned off completely.
And then go back in and get some.
And then go back in again and kind of ease into it. I'm getting a lot more of those kind of fruity notes, and like, not butter tart, but like cooked raisins and stuff like that. I'm getting a lot of that. You gonna try and find the casks?
Yeah, I am.
Man, this smells amazing. I'm very excited. I'm gonna go in. 63%, you said?
Yeah, 62.5.
62.5. It's great podcasting of none of us talking, right?
I know. I was gonna say you drinking and me looking up. So what I'm getting is sweet barley and gentle fruit after the initial peat smoke that hits you. But then
see, this is giving me shades of Ord Mor.
Yes.
For those that have, I was going to say, if you can find a bottle, you're not going to be able to find a bottle of this, folks. Sorry. Maybe if you go over to the Whiskey Exchange, or if you're in the UK or you go to Ardbeg, maybe they've got something like this. But this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is a dram worthy of Swamp Thing. Holy shit.
Right. So this one hits hard, and it's really like it fades quick, though. That's just what I was going to say. But then it leaves you, and it, like, you've still got the tingling on the tongue, but then the flavor kind of comes in waves. And that's why I think it's like the Ord Mor, right? Because it packs a real big punch, but then it has layers to it, and it develops as you're drinking it. And now when I go back,
like cooked pears, cooked apples, raisins, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. So this is one of the favorites that's on my shelf. And because I don't have much of it, that's why I reserve this to a birthday dram. Although, you know what? I didn't have it on this year's birthday because I got those 3 other amazing bottles. So technically I owed myself one.
There you go.
This works out rather nicely.
Happy birthday.
Hey.
See, I'm actually getting pineapple on this one too, which is weird. I usually don't get pineapple when I'm nosing whiskey, but I'm also like, it's almost like if you're going to like a Brazilian steakhouse where they've got like the pineapple that's like coated in cinnamon and sugar and they roast it over a fire. And you ever have one of
Oh
those?
yeah. Love
Kind of
those
getting
places.
it's like that kind of pineapple. It's like a almost like a barbecue dipped in sugar pineapple. This whiskey is awesome. Good job. Good
Yes.
job by you
Thank you.
buying
Yeah,
this one. Thank you
I don't
for
know if
sharing this with me.
oh hey, yeah. I mean, who else to share it with? You know,
Hmm.
whiskey's for drinking, whiskey's for sharing, right?
You're about to get hit up by a bunch of listeners saying, "I'll take some of that."
Oh, well, it's whiskey's for sharing, huh? This
All
one's
the
this
all
one's
DMs
also
sent to our Instagram account about this one. Alex will be
yeah, Alex
you're on the
Wolfield.
hook for fielding those ones.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more oily than
Yeah,
the Wee Beastie,
yeah.
right?
Have you ever put water on this at all?
No,
No.
no, and
Um,
it's just because,
I got a half ounce.
like,
I don't want to, but I'd be
yeah,
interested.
I mean, I'm being a little precious with it uh, because
No, man, drink
I
it how
just,
you like. That's our whole
I,
thing, right?
yeah,
Like,
and I just don't want to, like, I don't even want to waste a half dram
right,
of by putting water on it and then going, oh, like,
that
because
sucks.
yeah, because I do enjoy it that much, just as is.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, going back to it, like back at the nose now, it's even less of the peat, and it's
yeah,
almost more of the sweetness now.
yeah.
But the finish is still
That's
long
where
and
the peat
smoky.
comes in.
It's
Long and
just yeah,
very,
very
very long and
very
smoky.
yeah.
Um. Well, hey, this is
Rises up out of the bog, almost like it's coming back to life.
ooh. How's that for a segue? You're a professional podcaster.
How about that?
Come back next week, folks, and we are going to be talking all about Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, a book that we both really loved, and you will love too if you like good stories. I mean,
You don't even
I
have to
really
like
like
monster stories.
no,
It's just a
just
good
like good
story.
stories. And like the artwork. I mean, it's one of the you know, it's classic. It's classic comic book artwork. It's not going to be your modern,
No.
your modern stuff. It's the classic 80s, 70s,
Yeah.
80s style comic book artwork. But I get real nostalgic about stuff like that. I really
Yeah.
love old school comic art.
Well, it
So,
makes me think of growing up and reading those first Spider-Man books, those first X-Men
exactly.
books that we sort of got as kids.
Yeah.
Because obviously we weren't reading this when we
No.
were young kids.
No.
But
But
yeah, and yeah, I was just gonna keep going and rolling on this, but that's what part two's for. So I'm just gonna shut
exactly.
up now.
There you go. You're gonna have to come back next week, folks. But as always, please subscribe, rate and review, all that good stuff. We are the Whiskey Geeks. You can go to thewhiskeygeeks.com. You can follow us on Instagram at the Whiskey Geeks. Who did our theme song, Alex?
Who did our theme song? I believe Mr. Colin Response did our
Oh
theme
my
song, Something
gosh.
About Your Love, which is playing right now in the background. And you should
Yeah.
totally go and check out his stuff wherever you listen to music. Go and download it on Apple or Spotify and give him a follow. He is an awesome dude. And thank you so much for letting us use this amazing song as our theme
Yeah.
song.
To be fair, for this season, you might notice that the song that you're hearing isn't exactly his
Well,
song.
no.
We made it video game style because it's fun.
Yeah.
But his actual song is dope. And if you go back and
Yeah.
listen to older episodes, you can hear the actual song. But just go buy his album. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, come back next week, folks. We are going to be talking Swamp Thing. I'm going to go and finish this dram on our break before we record our Swamp Thing podcast because I just want to sit for a couple minutes with this Ord Mor. Thank you, Alex, for sharing this with me. What a special bottle. But the Wee Beastie, folks, it's really good. Ardbeg's awesome. Keep doing good stuff. Ardbeg,
Keep sending more stuff to Canada, Ardbeg.
release something like this commercially, please. Something like this. Do something crazy. This would be fun. We'd all love it. Everyone would love it. So
Don't water down the Wee Beastie. Full Beastie.
Yeah,
Cask
bring us
strength
the beast.
beastie.
Bring us the beast. All right, for the Whiskey Geeks, my name is Tim.
I'm Alex, and remember, Scotch and stories, they were made for each other. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.